Are you currently using ChatGPT?
We are using ChatGPT in a couple of capacities. We are in the process of integrating generative AI into our product. And we are also using ChatGPT not in a very methodical, organized fashion, but in an ad hoc fashion for multiple things, from content to gathering insight to trying to find answers about how to engage with certain industries and certain people.
Interesting. Okay, awesome. Have you seen benefits from using it from both like a sales and marketing perspective?
It's interesting. I'm in the process of writing a blog about Chat GPT and multiple aspects. When I write it, we can cross link.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
it's perfect.
so I think about it in multiple categories, right? One from a product perspective, from content, from sales and marketing,
Mhm.
and then our internal operations, right? So I think of it in these five categories. I think I'll focus for this discussion on the sales and marketing side. On the marketing side, I think it can be a useful tool. What I am finding is this rush from certain uh, people or certain companies to go, I will now use ChatGPT to generate all my content. And there I'm not finding it very useful for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's going to be a race to mediocrity if people start using ChatGPT to generate content, because your content is going to sound exactly like my content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way to leverage ChatGPT is going to be train ChatGPT on your proprietary content uh, and ask specific questions that are oriented towards your specific content. So, for example, you might feed it a complete product manual and say, what do you think are the three key features that I should talk to customers about? Now, that can be useful, right? People haven't done that yet. But going to ChatGPT and telling it, look at my website and tell me what you think we do, that's great. And then you take that and you convert it to a blog. But keep in mind that your customers can read that very same blog from ChatGPT, right? They can ask ChatGPT the same question. Why would they come to your website to read that?
Hmm.
Unless you're offering insight that goes beyond what they can find on ChatGPT, they're not going to come to your website.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be important to understand when you're creating content. Make sure it's unique and has your voice and your tone. Um, and to make it unique, you have to train it on your proprietary data. Don't go to ChatGPT and say, "Tell me what I do." Well, that's fine. They can get it themselves too. The other thing that I'm finding now, we've not used it in this capacity. I've seen inbound sales messaging where people find some obscure fact about a city I lived in and tell me, "Hey, did you know where you live? There was an ice cream shop." And that's not really a way to connect with me, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm
Great.
glad. That's great. Okay, there was an ice cream. What if I was lactose intolerant and I never went to the ice cream shop?
Yeah.
You found no common ground with me, right? On the other hand, if you found something about a project we were working on that's a priority for us, or found something about me and said, hey, let's say you like the Raiders, right, Vince?
Hmm.
If I found information about a trade that the Raiders are making in the off season and I shared that with you, you'd go, whoa, dude, how did you find that out?
Right.
That would be different, right? Now you know
Right.
something about me, very specific about me. You found out that I'm interested in the Raiders. You found out that I've gone to 5 games last season, flew to Las Vegas for that. Okay, now there's, but on the flip side, there's a creep factor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you find this out about me? Like, what are you doing? Um, but at least I found a connection that's more insightful about you, right? That's better than saying, "Hey, in San Diego, did you know there's a great, French restaurant?" And you're going, "Okay." Great, good
Don't
for
even like
you.
French food.
Definitely.
Exactly. So I think there's a way that we'll have to learn to use ChatGPT to make it effective for us, um, from a sales and marketing perspective.
Yeah, so I'm curious in like that example, let's use the French food one. Um, if you were to find that, like I personally would have to find that fact out about somebody, and then are you saying like putting into Chat GPT saying, give me a random fact about French food or this particular French restaurant?
I think we'll have to do more than that. We'll have to try to associate, hey, based on the information available about Vince
Hmm.
and the fact that he likes French food, can you recommend a personalized message that I can send to Vince that also explains our product, right?
Yeah.
And help me find an association. How do I associate my product with your likes and dislikes? Can you help me craft this message?
Hmm.
But now you require ChatGPT to be trained on your proprietary data, and you're feeding ChatGPT with additional information about
Hmm.
Vince and something else. ChatGPT might be very good about putting all these three pieces of information together and helping you craft some messaging,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to, OpenAI.com and putting this in, right? Or
Hmm.
that's not the answer. The answer is going to be, how do you leverage this to create your
Right.
unique content? And it will take a few tries and training of data of ChatGPT on your personal data,
Hmm.
right? The
Definitely.
generic version. I mean, if maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, right? But if I look at the trends that you see now of ChatGPT at 100 million users in 2 months,
Hmm.
um, but the usage has been going down, right? And that's being I don't know, I don't personally know why, but based on what I'm reading, people are saying, look, I mean, there's only so many times I can go to ChatGPT and ask it silly questions, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's, so there's some of that. It's fizzling out. ChatGPT's content is about a couple of years old. People
Hmm.
are pushing back on what content ChatGPT can ingest. Now, don't get me wrong, ChatGPT can be extremely powerful, but I think the
Yeah.
real power for enterprises is going to come when we can train it on our personal data, our
Yeah.
proprietary enterprise data.
Hmm.
I think that embodies the true meaning of AI too, is to be able to personalize it to the user. So that's actually a good take on it for sure.
The user and the usage,
Yeah.
Hmm.
using it for this general. Uh, the other part that I've been thinking about is this general rush to. I've now integrated ChatGPT. It's kind of like, hey, do you like French food? Yeah, okay. So you've integrated ChatGPT. So what business value are you adding?
Hmm.
Yep.
You know, I was involved with other products that used AI and machine learning back in 2012, 2014. Right. And very quickly, CIOs got past and CISOs got past the buzzword city of AI and machine learning and said, okay, that's great. What do you actually do?
Hmm.
What is ChatGPT going to do for me? Right. One customer we were having a conversation with uh, was talking about, yep, we want to integrate ChatGPT. Great. Excellent. What new things is ChatGPT going to do with your product? Well, our customers need to hear that we are integrated. Okay, that's great. You ride the buzz. Don't get me wrong. I live my life in marketing. I'm all about riding the buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, you've got to be able to answer the question, what do you do?
Yeah.
Yep.
How do you leverage the power of AI? What difference are you going to make? How is it going to enhance your product experience?
Hmm. Yeah. And I feel like there always is going to have to be a human element of it, right? Like there's going to have to be people that are leveraging the tool in the proper way to actually deliver ROI to customers or however it's being used. But if, like we've kind of been saying, if you just plug into Chat GPT and say, hey, craft me an outreach message based on what our product's doing, it's not going to deliver how you need to convert customers.
It'll give you an answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
The question is it the right answer for you to use?
Right.
Should you be using that, right? This whole applying human intelligence to, don't get me wrong, I think ChatGPT is going to change a lot of things about what we do. So generally, I shouldn't keep harping on ChatGPT, generative AI and AI has already changed our lives. When we use this device, AI has changed directions. It's very simple things. Like, how do you get directions? There's an element of AI. I think it's masterful to look at Apple. It's other companies. I think CNBC was talking about how many times generative AI and AI is mentioned in quarterly earnings reports and conferences that companies are giving. And I think one company had it mentioned like 37 times or something. And then Apple mentioned it 0 times. So there's a lot been written about that as to why. And the conclusion that was drawn in this article was because Apple is focused on delivering the customer experience.
Mhm.
How they get there is kind of irrelevant to me, right? How many times do you, Vince, or Bo, think about, oh, does my phone have artificial intelligence? I mean, it's a serious question. Do you ever think about it?
No, I can't say I do.
Yeah, no.
But do you use maps?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you use
Daily.
When it
autocorrect?
shows me an ad after something I've been talking about, that's when I think about it.
Yeah. Do you use autocorrect?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time, right? You don't even think
Yeah.
about that. You
That's
fact
true.
that
My
you're using
texts are
autocorrect.
always there.
Yeah.
It's getting corrected on its own. You're using maps. There's AI in there, right? You don't consciously wake up in the morning or when you're driving somewhere, you're not thinking, well, what kind of AI did they use here?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're there for the ride, so to speak, right? No pun intended.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's very true. I guess on the flip side of that, like, do you see downsides to using Chat GPT?
Yeah, I think there's definitely this worry, right? What is ChatGPT going to replace? And what is it going to displace? That's one aspect. That's the obvious thing that everybody's been talking about.
Mhm.
The counterpoint to that is, what kind of upskilling will we need for everybody to be aware on how to leverage ChatGPT? Think about all the people that you're hiring, right? Your company's hiring.
Yeah.
If they don't understand what ChatGPT is, they might not use it, but at least if they don't understand it, do you think that they'll be able to engage, since you're focused on go-to-market, do you think that they'll be able to engage effectively with customers when customers bring up, knowing even the difference between generative AI and ChatGPT, knowing the difference between normative AI, right, or narrow AI, a lack of understanding of all these different things will mean that they're probably not cutting edge and might not be able to speak in the language that the customer is looking for. So I think the education is going to be important, right? Even now, will it displace jobs or will it change jobs? People said jobs would go away. With everything, right? With robotics, sure, manufacturing shifted, but there were other jobs that were created in manufacturing. I think there's a worrisome element of what jobs will get displaced, right? Um, will a low-level programmer's job get completely displaced? I have question marks about that. Possibly for some things, but for others, there's still a lot of human thinking involved.
Yeah.
Will they require to be upskilled? Absolutely. I think the other thing that I worry about is this race to mediocrity, right? Everybody's going to say, well, just put it in AI and let's get the answer. Yeah, that's fine. We, you know, we will all get the same answer. And if everybody's website and everybody's data sheet and everybody's content looks the same, customers are going to lose interest. Um, So I think that's a potential downside. There's also this danger of, what is going to evolve into. I don't think our imagination is even rich enough to go, what is this going to become? Right? Is it going to be a monster that we've unleashed that's going to take over our lives? I mean, I'm not as dire in my thinking of, oh my God, it's going to eat us for breakfast, and but I think that there's definitely an element of, let's think back to social media. Right? What has social media done? There are positives. It started with, hey, sharing pictures and videos with family that you don't see often,
Mhm.
sharing, keeping them updated. But then it devolved into, colleagues of mine posting about every last TV show that they watched. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the feeds have become curated to echo the same content that you looked at once. Right? They become echo chambers. Does generative AI make that even more pronounced? What does it do? How are we going to think beyond uh, the possibilities that some computer presents to us? Right? And I hope it expands our thinking and doesn't narrow our thinking.
Yeah. Agreed.
Good point.
For sure. All right. So last question, because we're coming up on time here, but is your team using ChatGPT like in any unique ways? And are there any such ways that you feel that others could benefit from using it like you guys are?
I think I don't know that we are unique, but I do think that the ways that in which we are using ChatGPT can be effective, right? Not to generate content, but to refine content. Give it information that you've taken a crack at it and go, does this work?
Mm-hmm.
Is this effective, right? Should I say it differently? Should I say it better? The power that ChatGPT brings is it's seen millions of others do this, right? And it can tell me, no, I would reframe this as follows. Like, okay, wow, that's pretty cool. That I think can be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Checking my own work, right? Things that I would have missed. Um, I think that's pretty effective and saves me time. Now, sometimes I've seen ChatGPT introduce things into the content, this notion of hallucinating, right? ChatGPT makes up answers that it doesn't have. I've seen that, so you have to have a human element that refines and controls that. But I think ChatGPT can be very useful.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it needs to be in tandem, like on both sides. The human can look at what Chat GPT is saying, and then Chat GPT can look at what the human is saying, and together good content and ideas and creation can be evolved from it.
Absolutely.